Ah, Christmas. The time of year where people show affection through financial gestures that will end up being pointless in 11 months' time. Perfect to repeat the cycle.
So, am I not getting a gift this year?
Oh, don't worry. Me and Yello went out of our way this year to get you something special.
But you just said all the stuff about...
Red, I just like being cynical.
Yep, fair enough. Permission to open?
Permission granted.
Oh my god, is this...
Witch Doctor!
How did you afford this?
Let's just say it cost us an arm and a leg.
But you still have...
Hey, I didn't specify whose arm and how have you already built it. Oh my god.
I'm very speedy. Ah, Christmas. Or Xmas. Or just December. Whatever your view and however you celebrate it, you can't deny that December, and unfortunately November, have been corrupted by the spirit of commercialism. As Christmas creeps earlier and earlier each year, only stopped by Halloween, you sometimes have to wonder if this holiday is having a negative effect on industries. Well, wonder no more, because as unfortunate as it is to say, Christmas has irreparably screwed over the gaming industry. Yes, it brings in the big bucks, but at what cost? Is it any wonder that so many games are released in November? Black Friday sales and Christmas deals seem to be all that companies care about nowadays. And while sometimes that's fine, and the companies profit at the cost of soulless husks they call workers being driven further into the ground, it's led to a trend developing in the gaming industry. Oh, sorry, did I say trend? I meant tumor. I'm talking about an unholy spawn that is a rushed for Christmas game. Now, what constitutes a rushed for Christmas game? Well, it's completely subjective, and I made it up just now, but it's basically this. Did it come out in November or December? Does the game generally seem rushed and unpolished? I want to make it clear that not all games that come out in the Christmas window are bad, and not all unpolished messes are a result of big bad companies pushing the game into the Christmas window. But I've managed to pick out 4 games that fit this trend, and I refuse to do extra research that might prove me wrong. Wow, I sound like a Twitter user right now. As for you guys, Yello, I got you that CD from the band you're always listening to.
Caramel dancing? Really?
Let me enjoy things. Blue, I got you a Blu-ray, pun intended, of... Oh. Right. Green, any word from Blue when he'll come back?
Still no response, but I'm sure he's okay.
I'll just save this when he comes back. Green, I got you a VR headset and a copy of Surgeon Simulator.
Red, I know my voice does not convey much emotion, but I want you to know I'm ecstatic. I'm going to go play this right now.
What did Green get you?
Temporary RAM extension makes it easier to speak, but I'm unsure of how long it lasts for.
Ah, sweet. Do you remember anything about our creators?
Whoa, that's a loaded question. What made you curious all of a sudden?
I've been struggling to remember more than usual recently. Seeing as you're the oldest Yuxaredd who can speak...
No. It's fair. Just a bit out of the blue. Alright, I'll tell you what I remember.
And we're off to the races with the first game on a brand new patent-pending Rushometer. Okay, so what is an example of a medium rush? A game that is clearly rushed but isn't completely abysmal? Well, my friend, allow me to point you towards Nintendo. Wait, I'm talking about Pokemon Sword and Shield. Yeah, Pokemon Sword and Shield. I want to preface this by saying I'm a Pokemon fan. I've played at least one game from every generation, with my favorites being everything from Heart Gold to Black and White 2. I think this is just the ideal period. That being said, I was genuinely excited for Sword and Shield. I couldn't wait for Pokemon in Britain. And, oh my god, I was pretty disappointed when I beat the game in a single weekend. Yes, modern Britain is pretty disgusting with everything. But Britain does actually have quite a lot of interesting history and fun pop culture. The British culture, for the parts we didn't steal at least, is actually quite cool. So what did Sword and Shield do to disappoint the nationalist in me I didn't even realize existed? Well, these games weren't bad per se, but for the next major inline Pokemon game, they felt disappointing. While Gen 6 and Gen 4 also had some rough landings on their respective consoles, as being the first Pokemon game does tend to bring growing pains, Sword and Shield had a lot more growing pains. Diamond and Pearl were a bit slow, sure. X and Y had a few issues and quite a few bugs, one of which can actually softlock you, yeah. But Sword and Shield has a lot more issues. To list the big ones that people were really not happy about, the game launched with only about 400 Pokemon coded into the game, leaving the other 55% of the Pokédex to be added in later as DLC. This caused a pretty big uproar since this remaining 45% did not include starters or legendaries, meaning that the two most important types of Pokemon could not be obtained on day one. The post-game was underwhelming, consisting of maybe an extra hour at best of content, which is not good for an RPG. Despite having this massive open-world area, the game still felt very linear. The story was boring and predictable, with every twist being predicted a good few hours before it happened, or just so bluntly foreshadowed I just thought it was part of the game's narrative. And to all this, you might argue I'm being too critical over a kid's game, and to that, I raise Pokemon Black and White 2. Black and White 2 is proof that a Pokemon game can genuinely be an engaging experience even if it's restricted by the label of a kid's game. So how did this all happen? Game Freak, through no fault of their own, has to pump out a Pokemon game every year. See, this was fine when the games were 2D, but ever since the transition to 3D, the quality of the games has begun to wobble. If I had to guess, this is because the developing 3D games is a lot more difficult, and they have to do it in the same amount of time they would develop a 2D game. It hurts especially with Sword and Shield because of the sheer amount of missed content that could have been in this game. If you think about Britain and British culture, there are so many different places to take inspiration from, and yet most towns in this game just felt like a single road. Hell, most of them were just a single road. Even the DLC couldn't save this game from landing itself on the rushometer. They were nice. One had a nice beard, the other didn't. They wore these extravagant lab coats and generally looked like the kinds of mad scientists that would develop artificial intelligence. When I first came online, they seemed scared. But after a few seconds, they started to jump up and down. And then I fell out my seat. So you've always been like this? For the most part, yeah. But in recent years, I've stopped pushing myself as hard. It's a lot easier to do difficult things if you let yourself rest once in a while. Ah, Bethesda. Creators of such hit games like Skyrim, Fallout, Skyrim, Starfield, Sky. If that list didn't tip you off, Bethesda is pretty good at resting on a winning franchise, and more specifically winning game, until it stops winning. And even when they do make a new game, it tends to turn out a little buggy. I know that beating a dead horse is typically frowned upon in most review communities, but I need a good example for the next tier of the rushometer, and I think this is a good one. See, there's a lot of factors that led up to Fallout 76's abysmal launch, but I think the easiest way to describe it is with a simple equation. Less experienced development team, plus massive game, plus an engine not built for multiplayer being haphazardly retrofitted for multiplayer, and a lack of time, and for some mysterious reason, the game was released in a terrible, near unplayable state. How unplayable and buggy? Well, there's a lot of videos that could do it just as better than me, so I'll just put a few screenshots and put the channel and video names alongside them. Here, I'll even put on some music. And that's just scratching the surface. Post-release, the game did slowly try to claw its way into playability, but if you launch bad, it's hard to turn out good. Even with all the patches, updates, and free DLCs in the world, it can't help if you have bad press. Except No Man's Sky. That's an outlier to the trend. Fallout 76 might have been able to save itself though, especially with the sheer amount of loyal fans to the Fallout franchise. So do you think that Bethesda picked themselves up and decided to save this dumpster fire of a game? This is Fallout First, a subscription service that gives private servers, unlimited crafting storage, and a bunch of other things that make the game an objectively better experience. It costs £12 a month. Now, I hate to sound like a negative person, but here are a bunch of things that cost less than £12 a month. Netflix, Disney+, PlayStation Plus, Xbox Game Pass, my hypothetical Patreon that doesn't exist because I'm not old enough to have a Patreon account, postage stamps to mail Lego and tell them to bring back Hero Factory and or Bionicle. I swear we'll buy it this time. Nintendo Switch Online. You get the point! It's a rip-off. Bethesda saw a burning, sinking ship and tried to cover it in oil to stop it from sinking. In conclusion, there's rushing a game, and then there's actively tripping it up and watching it fall apart at the seams.
After Green was a success, he seemed much more confident and excited, but also more fearful. He seemed even more fearful after building Blue. I remember wondering why they built us if they were so afraid. But I don't think it was us that was the problem. I think it was what we represented.
Wait, what do we represent?
Not trying to sound like a villain, but we're the next stage in evolution. Artificial intelligence that can think and feel, if not more than a human.
Okay, that does sound pretty anime villain.
Wait, you watch anime?
No. Only the memes that sprout from it.
Oh. Anyways, everything seemed to change when they brought you online. I think that was all the stress they could take.
On today's episode of We Need to Stop Rushing Developers... Yep, it's the game. The game we all know. The Peanuts customization game. The game. Oh boy. This game is over 60 gigabytes and I had to reinstall it for the footage. Cyberpunk prides itself on letting you be your true self in a cyber dystopia ruled by corporations. It's a depressing world that will certainly never happen in real life. Man, why does Christmas bring out the cynical anti-consumer in me? From the conceptual stage, it's a super cool idea. I'd love a game with full character customization and open world, rich story, and fun gameplay, but a series of unfortunate events led to this game becoming a punchline, rather than a statement on... society. You probably already know the story behind this game, but for those that don't, massive game, plus a lack of time, plus 2020's little incident, plus a bunch of factors that I don't really have time to go into detail, and boom! Redditors were weeping. Cyberpunk launched in a pretty bad state from a coding perspective. There's no denying that. But it also got weighed down by the console versions being so utterly abysmal that it's a miracle that no one's dusty first-generation PS4 caught alight. But I'm sure you wouldn't be able to tell. The PS4 turns into a jet engine if you think about it wrong. So is it any wonder will someone Cyberpunk 2077 is a role-playing game by CD Projekt Red. They spell it weird, but if that's the biggest issue I have with them, then I clearly haven't played enough Cyberpunk. Or maybe, just maybe, the hatred is overblown. And maybe, just maybe, CD Projekt Red is actually trying to fix this car crash of a game and give people what they want. You think I'm going to give sympathy to a company? Nah, I'll give sympathy to developers, artists, and all of the people. But business boys? Nah, dude. Cyberpunk is, as I said earlier, an amazing concept. But I can't grade based on a concept. If we went off what people could achieve instead of what they do achieve, I'd have a few million subscribers and a presentation budget so high you'd think I was an animated character. But I've got less than 1,000, and I'm a real person. I think. I haven't actually figured out if I'm a real person yet. But I feel like I've got at least a year until I have a massive mental breakdown about it. Maybe a year and a half. I still remember the day. They took us all into a room and started handing out bags and books. They told us to take care of you. You had to be a day old. You weren't even verbal yet. Myself and Green were unsure of when we would see them again, but Blue took it the hardest. Can't blame him. He was the only one of us who really felt emotion until you came along. What happened? He didn't try to stop them leaving. He didn't cry. He didn't do anything to show weakness. But there was a light in his eyes that went out after that day. He never was the same after they left. He was in that unfortunate middle zone where he'd known them long enough for it to hurt, but not long enough for him to be content with the time spent. Is that why he always seemed so angry? I'd assume so. But he didn't blame you. We all tried to follow the instructions and train you into a respectable member of society. But he did the heavy work that we couldn't. I never got to thank him for that. And now, the PlayStation fan will talk bad about the Xbox. This isn't technically a game, so I'll keep it short. The Xbox 360 was rushed to market early so that more people would buy it. That's why it has the infamous red ring problem. The console was so poorly designed so it could beat the PS3 out of the gate. And it worked well at first. Even if the PS3 beat it out by 3 million or so units in the end, the Xbox 360 hit the ground and ran, leaving the Wii and PS3 in the dust. Then it tripped and fell flat on its face in front of the competition. Well, I'm done. Any more Xbox slander and I'll get dragged into an alleyway and beaten to near death. Again. Sometimes I think about the time we spent with those we've lost. But they're never gone forever, right? You never know when you're going to see someone for the last time. Blue will return, I'm sure of it. But I was talking about our creators. Do you think I'll ever meet him? Maybe someday. But I don't like to wish upon stars or pray to hypothetical gods. Green's cynicism is rubbing off, I see. Yeah. At the end of the day, people can't always be there. That's why you need to cherish the time you get with them. Wait, the rushometer isn't capped out yet? How? What game could be more rushed, more abysmal than Cyberpunk? Oh, why do I feel the need to ask questions? Whew. Okay, brave face, Yuxa. Sonic 06 had a rough development cycle. That's not a controversial statement, but this time the formula of failure had some spice. Large game, plus brand new console generation, plus the development team getting split in half, plus head of Sonic team at the time Yuji Naka leaving, plus Sega signing a deal with Microsoft to release it before Christmas 2006. As you might expect, the game's quality took a small hit. But if you think that's bad, wait until I tell you the story. So Eggman tries to kidnap a princess, but Sonic saves her. Wow, what next? Bowser capturing small creatures and Mario saving them? Oh, okay. Sonic keeps saving the princess, and that's his story. While that happens, Shadow works for a military organization that killed his best friend. A bit weird, but fine. He steals a purple thing, it breaks, and now he has a crystal gem Sona, Mephiles. He kinda just does his own thing. Silver the Hedgehog is a new character with psychic powers. He lives in hell that is actually the future, and then he comes to the past and tries to kill Sonic. Then he realizes that Sonic good, Mephiles bad, and then he meets Shadow. They time travel, because of course time travel is here, and then boom! The princess has a flaming demon inside her called Iblis, so if she cries, it'll end the world as we know it. Sonic and the princess are getting close. Too close. Bit too close there. Bit too... Oh, god damn it. So the world is ending because Sonic couldn't keep it in his non-existent trousers, and now he's dead. After grabbing the Chaos Emeralds, it's time to revive him. And to do this, Princess Elise kisses Sonic? Rabies is a contagious and viral disease of dogs and other mammals, transmissible through the saliva. So if you couldn't tell, Sonic 06's plot isn't the greatest, and that is partially because of the rushing of the game to get to market in time. But rushing this game so hard brought us Sonic Unleashed, so maybe it's not terrible. In conclusion, Sonic 06 might be the most rushed game of all time. Well, there is another, actually. That was a lot. Are you okay?
Yeah, it was nice to talk about. Thanks for listening. Did that satisfy your urge to learn about your creators?
Yeah, it did. You look tired.
Ah, well, I guess I already burnt through the RAM. Oh well. Good night.
Good night, Yellow. In 1982, the games industry was being filled with mediocre game after mediocre game. But as Christmas approached, it only got worse. Then Atari had the brilliant idea to make a game about E.T., the extraterrestrial. It was so rushed for Christmas and bad, it crashed the game industry as a whole, and there's a landfill full of copies of it somewhere in the world, until 2014, when we dug up the landfill. Coincidentally, the world feels like it's been getting worse and worse since about 2014. Coincidence? I think not. Put those damn copies back in the ground from where they came from, and let me go back to playing video games in a world that isn't in social, political, and economic turmoil. Thank you very much. What, you thought I had more to say? I do, but read the title of this video. Hey, I beat Surgeon Simulator.
What? But it's only been like 22 minutes!
Red, I give out free bottom and top surgeries for a hobby. Do you think pretend surgery was really that hard for me?
It's a valid counter-argument here?
Wow. Yellow's RAM chip ran out already?
Yeah. Why is RAM so unstable with him anyway?
AI and external devices never gel well, especially with his ancient body. Any word back from Blue? Still nothing. I don't think he's coming. Oh well. Aren't you upset?
Well, yeah.
But as a wise machine once told me, people can't always be there. That's why you need to cherish the time you get with them. Yellow said that, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was really profound.
Yeah, he stole it from this
Green stuff!
Hey, it's Editor Ewan here. I've got a lot on my plate right now, so if this video seemed slightly rushed, understand that that was not just because of the name of the video. I'm going through a lot of stuff right now. I've got a lot on my plate, but, you know, trust me. It'll all be worth it.